Okay, so let's dive into a really simple story. It's just about a young man, a wise old guy, and a glass of water. Sounds pretty basic, right? But trust me, it holds a powerful secret for how to find a little bit of peace in this crazy, busy world of ours. But first, let me ask you something. Does your mind ever feel like it's just on all the time? Just a constant whirlwind of thoughts, to-do lists, worries, memories, never really truly quiet?
Yeah, I think we've all been there.
Well, that's exactly where our story kicks off. I want you to meet Marco. He's 24, and that restless, racing mind we just talked about, that was basically his life, 24/7. For Marco, this wasn't just a case of being a little distracted. It was more like a full-on storm was constantly raging inside his head. Just imagine that, a relentless internal tempest that left him feeling completely drained. You see, Marco was totally trapped. His mind was always being pulled in two different directions. On one side, he was haunted by regrets and sadness about things that had already happened. On the other, he was completely consumed with anxiety about what might happen in the future. There was literally no space left for what was happening right now. And this took a huge toll on him. I mean, the consequences were really starting to stack up. He lived with this constant feeling of unease and exhaustion. He couldn't sleep right, he never felt calm, and it got so bad that he'd actually forgotten what it felt like to genuinely smile. So as you can imagine, he eventually just got fed up. He decided he couldn't live like this anymore and had to do something about it. And that decision right there was the start of a journey that would completely change his life. His journey began with just a whisper, a rumor. He started hearing stories about this wise old man, apparently a former psychologist who'd given up the city life to live quietly in the hills, helping people find some mental peace. For Marco, this was the first glimmer of hope he'd felt in a long, long time. So, after this long, tiring trip, Marco finally finds the wise man. And his plea was just so simple and raw. He said, "My mind is so restless, I just cannot stop thinking. Can you please help me?" Now, you'd expect some big philosophical speech or a complex theory, right? But the wise man's response was something way simpler and honestly, way more profound. It was a challenge that revolved around a single glass of water. The instructions were super clear. The wise man said, "Take this glass of water, which was filled right to the absolute brim. I want you to walk to the very edge of the village and then walk all the way back. But here's the crucial part. You cannot spill a single drop." Marco was probably thinking, a glass of water? Seriously? But hey, he'd come all this way, so he was determined to see it through. He took the glass, held it with intense care, and started his walk. And let me tell you, this was not some peaceful stroll in the park. Oh no, the path was pure sensory overload. It was this narrow, crowded road with people walking and running everywhere, shopkeepers yelling out to customers, dogs barking, just a perfect storm of distractions. But here's the amazing part. Through all of that noise, all that chaos, Marco's focus was absolute. He didn't look left or right, he didn't hear the shouting. His eyes were completely 100% glued to the shimmering surface of the water in that glass. So he makes it back, not a single drop spilled. He's probably feeling pretty good about himself, thinking he passed some weird test, but the real lesson, that was just about to be revealed. The wise man just smiled, and instead of saying good job, he started asking these questions. He asked about all those distractions on the path. Did you see the kids playing? Did you hear the dogs barking? What about the shopkeepers? Marco seemed a little surprised, and he just shook his head. His answer was the key to everything. No, I was only focusing on the glass. His entire mind, his whole being, had been completely consumed by that one single simple task. And that was the secret. That was the whole point. By concentrating so intensely on that glass of water, Marco had, without even realizing it, anchored himself completely in the present moment. The wise man explained that when your mind is fully focused on the now, there's just no room left for fear about the future or sadness about the past. For the first time in years, Marco's mind was actually quiet. And that's when it finally clicked for Marco. Peace isn't something you have to go out and find. It's not some destination you have to travel to. It's a state of being that's already inside of you, and it's accessible the moment you bring your full, undivided attention to whatever is right in front of you. So the light bulb goes on for Marco. That walk wasn't just a task. It was a living, breathing demonstration of how to quiet his own mind. He finally understood that he held the key to his own peace. Marco left that village a totally different person. The young man who arrived with a storm raging inside him now carried this quiet, steady sense of peace. He finally got it. The power to find that tranquility was always, always within his grasp. And that brings us to the final question, and this one is for you. This story shows us how focusing deeply on a present task can bring this incredible sense of peace. So what's your glass of water? What's one simple thing right here, right now, that you can give your full, complete attention to and find that quiet space inside?